We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
They're here.
My tooth is out and I'm ready to do it.
And I'm Lee. And you're listening to
They're Here
podcast.
A discussion.
A dissemination.
I thought it was disembowelment.
It's one or the other. It's supposed to be 3 Ds. And you look.
We always love a good triple D.
We do what we can.
and what? Yeah, that. It's been a while. Don't judge me.
Podcast.
Oh, of all things, fear.
No, horror.
Of all things, horror, fear,
And the macabre.
and that's meant to be double D, but it's not working. Anyway, so we're back.
We
It's been a
sure
minute.
are. We sure the fuck are. Hi.
We've completely forgotten how to like just talk to each other as soon as the red light comes on.
We've been busy. But we've got a lot to catch up on. 2022 has ramped up to be kind of a 1986 of sorts of horror movies where we're kind of inundated with a lot of horror and a lot of different horror. So expect a catch up of the last few months.
This is definitely something I was saying to you, was the fact that we should we gotta catch up. There's
We
a
see how
lot.
Halloween ends, you know. I think we actually have managed to keep up with them all and see them all.
Yeah. And do we have opinions? Of course we do.
Yeah, of course. Some of them I'm very, very, very angry at. I haven't been angry like that in a long time at a movie, if ever.
It was really
I was
hard.
pissed. I was very angry.
Yeah. If
but
you know who you are, you know who you are.
We'll get to you. But
Soundboard is back, baby.
so yeah, today we are on we're Hellraiser. We're on Hellraiser 2022.
Hulu Razor.
Okay, you got one more.
I go.
Okay.
Hulu.
You guys don't know, but I've heard that joke 3 times since I've been here.
So yeah, 2022 is definitely a year for some reboots, remakes, requels, all of the re's, you know, except
Mega
Rihanna.
sequels too.
Yeah.
Actually, Rihanna released a song
Actually,
last
yeah,
night.
the other-
I was gonna say.
So it's definitely something that's been on the radar for at least 2 years, 3 years. This
I
film.
think it was announced as a show, but also it's because I think it's one of the kind of big horror movies.
Yes.
Anytime there hasn't been one for a year or two, people kind of think of we're totally due one.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, it's what happens. I think although I think the rights swapped over to somebody, I think that's what it was. It's the fact that they hadn't made a Hellraiser movie in a long enough time that the rights went back up.
Yeah.
So that they could be attained by Hulu, but then kind of in a weird roundabout way by Disney, which
Disney Plus,
canonically
yeah.
makes this Pinhead a Disney princess.
I never thought of it that way.
All for us. Oh.
I gotta say, first initial reactions to this film. Sorry, I should say that, the way, obviously, you were just saying there is, we're kind of due something like this, along the lines a la, a Freddy film, or a Jason film, or, a Halloween film.
Has said that she's
coming back. She's coming back. Legacy.
I would like to see that.
And it's kind of like Hellraiser is one of those pillars of horror that has it's set the boundary, or not the boundary. It's set it changed the game. It set a new level or a new precedence for horror movies that were to follow it. You know, and I definitely think this film I'm happy with. It was a good time. You know, I
was happy enough to recommend it to everybody that I knew.
Yeah,
you know,
was it scary? Not so much. Intense.
But none of the
absolutely.
Hellraisers scare me, you know. I don't know. So we've kind of gone back to again, this is just a straight remake. There is no connections, which I don't mind because I think it's a cleaner cut than Halloween or something. I do like what Halloween did and cut out the rest, but then I think well, then you just kind of have this schism. You have this weird void of what timeline do you pick?
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they just went for brand new, sort of a readaptation, but along the lines of Suspiria, kind of where we don't have any of the original characters outside from the Cenobites, and they kind of have just taken the basic premise, the basic ideas, and the basic characters, and then put them in a whole new world, which is what I like. There's no
they
point
moved forward with them.
Do the first Hellraiser again.
Yeah.
Because it's also so quintessentially, like, British. It's, like, such a British movie. It's, like, I don't know. Because we're not repressed sexually the way we were then.
Yeah.
You kind of can't just do the same thing and have sex be, like, the taboo. You know?
The one thing I actually did really want to start on was, and this is something that I thought about with, it's the same thing with Hulu and Fox with Predator or Prey, I should say.
Oh, you have to get to Prey as well.
These two films should have been something that should have been released in cinema.
Yeah, they didn't have enough faith.
Exactly.
Which was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Prey...
It killed.
I think Prey was the number one watched thing that weekend it came out.
That would have killed at the box office.
It really would have.
Yeah.
Like, it was already historic, but I think, like, having Amber Midthunder be the first Native American woman to, like, herald a
change in scenery
Hollywood
for
movie.
It. Yeah.
To be the face of it would have been historic. It was historic anyway, but... I don't know. I would have enjoyed to have seen Prey or this in a cinema.
In a cinema, that would have been a really great experience. It would have been.
They looked cinematic. They were gorgeous movies.
Yes,
which I don't think people expected for a quote unquote straight to streaming thing. And I wonder if that'll change things, because I know Evil Dead Rise. I know they were supposed to be going straight to HBO Max, but because of the success of Hellraiser and Prey, they've decided to go for a theatrical release.
Oh, that's good.
And have faith in the audience, you know?
Yeah.
I think horror out of anybody, or out of any kind of group, is willing to show up and willing to, like, look...
If there's a fan base, they'll come.
Exactly. Like, I'll back the media I want to see, and then knowing that by doing that, we'll get more of that by giving them the money, you know?
It's very much that meme of Fry, shut up and take my money.
Literally,
like, just like, all I had to see was that first trailer from Hellraiser, and it was like, boom, sold. You had me at, you know, all for us. You had me at that. You know, give me more.
Pose like Baphomet.
Yeah. Like,
so
that's
good.
all I had to see was is Jamie Clayton just, like, standing there, Baphomet pose, saying all the pain, all their blood, all for us. And I was sold. I was like, shut up, take my money, give me my ticket.
And just crown this week's Human Chair of the Week.
Wait for it. Gotta get it. Okay, go for it.
Whatever, you're the one that's going to have to edit this out. Yeah, Jamie Clayton / Pinhead, or just the priest.
The Hell Priest.
Yeah, Human Chair of the Week this week. I've never been in love with a woman, but she's beautiful and from hell. Yeah, god damn it, dude. I think this is the one everybody was waiting for. I don't think we could have had anybody in the human roles, but the Cenobites are why you come to Hellraiser.
Yes.
And just
they're the star of the show, to be fair.
They really are.
You come for them.
You know, I certainly did. No, honestly though, I just said to you a couple of minutes before recording, I think, dare I say, I like this design more, because I think it makes more sense if your whole MO is flesh and, like, manipulation of flesh and the use of flesh for, whether that be, like, for sex or for decoration or for, like, piercing, carving, tattooing, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it makes more sense to have their uniform just be flesh, you know? And I'm hoping that we get an even better look at them next time.
Yeah.
Just because Pinhead in particular, again, being kind of the leader in this, I know they're referred to as the priest in this, but Pinhead. Yeah. Just everything about it. The voice, which is what we were waiting on, because the voice in the book is described as being a quote-unquote kind of excited young girl, but also having this masculine kind of undertone to it as well. But Pinhead is wearing, like, a flesh gown in this, where all the skin on the arm is, like, bifurcated, like, up at the top, and then split like a wizard's sleeve, and then the front part of the thighs is like a giant loincloth, and then the side and back of the thighs is just the actual gown part. Yeah. But then it's all this, like, really beautiful, and they're beautiful. They are really gorgeous. All this ornate kind of removing of, like, panels of skin, and I don't know. I also looked at all these Cenobites this time as saying, like, okay, realistically, that's how flesh would behave.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't crazy, except for, like, the nun, like, the quote-unquote female Cenobite this time. Like, I thought that's the only design that kind of bugged me, but even still.
I gotta say that, like, Jamie Clayton as Pinhead, or as the... Actually, sorry, I should just say the production designer, Catherine Eder, is the one who was responsible for those sort of designs. And we'll put them up. That's going to be a post. We'll put up some concept designs, because the initial thought process behind this was... I actually wrote it here.
With the split neck and everything for that maquette. Oh, the exposed musculature.
I gotta say, like, the film teases and trickles, like, images here and there of them at the very beginning. The fact that they appear more and more as the Cenobites kill kind of more... Sorry. Bring pleasure to, shall I say.
Yes.
The people, the more they appear. It's like, it's great horror, it's great sound design for them. Like, Voight... The one thing I actually really appreciated was Voight shows... kind of describes them as angels, and it was a callback to what Pinhead had said in the original.
Angels to some, demons to others.
Demons to others, exactly. And, like, their design... this time it's a total departure from the original concept of the 87 designs, like the classic Hallmark, which, if you're unfamiliar with, which I doubt you are, but if you are, which was like leather, latex, bondage, body modification, scarification, all of that kind of thing. But this time around,
time still would have been kind of new and and
because
or whatever. But I think they would have done a disservice by just doing that again, because like, frankly, I think after
my dear,
the
don't
first,
give it down.
But frankly, after the first couple of movies, all the Cenobites seem to kind of blend together, because they all wear the same colors, they all have a similar design, and again, there was only so much you could show up till a certain point. Like Butterball in the original movie has this like giant stomach toothed vagina, like and it's huge, but they covered it up because it was too graphic.
Yeah.
But now you can show this kind of stuff on TV.
Yeah. But this time around, it's much more inspired by, like, medical and surgical journals, which I totally love. Like, the callbacks...
It's like Renaissance, like Da Vinci
sketches.
Yes,
I was literally just about to say that. Is Da Vinci's design and sketchbook of corpses, like, withdrawn and cut up flesh and bone.
Just panels of
like,
skin missing.
Revealing muscles and tendons of corpses. Like, was... the usage of skin as clothing is a whole new look that gives the Cenobites like these terrifying visages. Like it's like the truth of the words being pleased with the pain of it all is how it works, and that definitely makes sense. Like flesh garments and pearl pin ornamentation is fantastic design, friends.
In the book, I love it. The pins are described as being bejeweled. They have little jewels or pin or whatever on the end of them, and in the original, they kind of just look like big nails. Yeah. But there's a scene, we'll get to it, where Pinhead just pulls one out and it just keeps going. And it's like, those are gone like through the skull.
They are inside the bottom half of the brain. They're like 2 or 3 inches long. Yeah.
But they're stunning. But they all kind of, I get the sense that this Pinhead has made all of these Cenobites. Yes. Because they all have the pearl details. The female one has kind of like a bridge piercing, and everything is kind of pinned together like a garment, but with these big pearled like pins. They're just it's so much more stunning. But I also think like it's kind of more twisted, because most of the original Cenobites only kind of have like some form of like head/facial deformity, and then maybe something on the chest. But with this, it's everybody is fully at 100% of the time has some form of exposed musculature or like open visible skeletonization. Yes. There's a lot of exposed spines. There's I think it's the Weezer or the asphyx or something like that, where
the asphyxiation,
the back, they're like blood eagled out. That skin is pulled up around the front of the face with the lungs visible and breathing. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, their skin has been like cut up and peeled back. Some like used it as armor, while like others used like them as like skirts and sleeves.
Oh, Chatterer.
Yeah. The designs like were like carved and cut to resemble, quote unquote, their god and their way of life, because obviously like pain is pleasure to them.
Yeah, like it's constant.
It's like there's never a twist like on like literally anything, because that's what Voight says in it, is like, don't believe their gifts, because what we perceive as gifts is and I mean they're from a hell dimension. Like what we perceive as earthly gifts are not enough for them. Their gifts in comparison to ours are much more twisted.
Explorers of the furthest realms of sensation.
I love that. So like their perverse decisions on people's wishes, like Voight's wish on pleasure is a never-ending like shredder of nerve endings, and like power is becoming a torture Cenobite.
Just pulling
Riley's wish of resurrection via the Lazarus quote-unquote configuration brings her brother back, but like I guarantee you if she was to choose that, it would have been something akin to like the way Frank was at the beginning of the original. Like she would have been asked to like bring him like bodies and shit, which would be a great fucking sequel, to be fair.
It's low-key the plot of this, because she, like, again, she, like, does all that.
Yeah.
You know?
And, like, even though she refuses to get, spoilers, she refuses her gift at the ending of it, is the fact that she chooses, like, nothing. She refuses a gift, so she gets the Lament configuration. Yeah. And where she is technically doomed to her pain and her loss.
Do we think she'll come back?
Absolutely. I want her to come back. I want her to be the Kirsty Cotton.
Her little, because that's what they were doing. Is because we have this big like 80s perm. Yeah. She's got something going on with her lips. Where when I watched it the first time, I was like, "What the fuck is she wearing on there?"
Yeah.
And then when I watched it with Lena and Ash, I was like, and Kev, shout out you guys. I was like, okay, what does she have in there?
Yeah.
Because her lips they're weirdly flat but tall. I know that sounds weird, but she's got like they're not super defined, but it's super kind of blown out. She's got this like, I don't know. I was noticing that Odessa, what's her name again? Odessa A'zion. She is gorgeous, and I think I think she carried this movie very, very well.
She pulls off Meth Addict really well.
I was going to say it's not, but she's not likable.
Yeah,
I don't hold that against her.
Yeah, I
don't super want like I want Kirsty Cotton Hellraiser 2. Not Hellraiser 1. I want
where
somebody
she's
who's
innocent,
a little grizzled.
You want her to be like pushing back.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's kind of willing to fuck people up in this movie.
Yeah. I gotta say that, like, her character, like you said, like, she does come across as, like, unlikable. At no point are you sort of rooting for her in any way. Like, Odessa A'zion, just in case, like, she doesn't really have a lot of like namesake to her. She's not like big in the industry. The only thing I could really find on her is that she's the grandfather of Don Segal. If you don't know, he was in MASH, which is like the 70s and the 80s if you're ancient like I am. But yeah, that was about it. She's at times like she's very unlikable. She's not endearing enough to the audience was my note on her. I can understand like the fact that Barker always put like in his stories, in his things, a lot of people who are broken in some way, because obviously I mean like he was a gay man struggling with his own identity when he was writing these stories and things like that it was society's rejection of these characters, and that's why he put them into his stories. And Barker was a producer on this one. He was first time he returned to it since I think Hellraiser 2. Yeah. So like definitely Odessa's character Riley was something akin to what he is.
She's a Barker
an
character
outsider
for sure.
Yeah, and like as she's a recovering addict. She goes to AA meetings. Exactly, like you have to give your characters arcs, and in a way I do think she didn't get that arc,
But I think they have more planned for this, because it didn't feel... It's weird. There was no kind of like big teaser for the next movie, but you like the Hellraiser movies don't really do that.
No.
You kind of you establish the world and then you just tell stories from in there. So like if we get a sequel to this, which I'm pretty sure we will.
I think we should.
I know we're going to get for sure a series on Hulu. Which I think was supposed to come first, because I had heard about a series for years.
Yes.
Which I think is the perfect way to do it, actually. But I would almost like an anthology style series where, like the comics, because I really enjoyed the Hellraiser comics.
And you can draw so much inspiration from them.
Exactly.
I didn't even know they existed until you brought it up, and I was like, holy shit, there's a whole other fucking universe to this outside of the quote-unquote cinematic universe. I was going to
say, but these Cenobites they're the gash. These are just like this one specific group of
like loads of others.
However many, you know. Like we have more kind of African-inspired Cenobites where it's all kind of bone and like that, like leather and stuff, but it's like human skin or something like that, you know. But there's stories where we find out like that these things have been, or people have been like interacting and fuck around with these things since like medieval times and stuff.
Yeah.
There's one particular comic book where we find out the origin of the female Cenobite.
Yeah.
And she's like this, like medieval nun, you know, and she like interacts with this demon and stuff, and there's flaying and spraying and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it would be a lot more fun to do isolated stories by that way of a show, just because, like, you know, you already have a movie, like you can continue on with this particular set of Cenobites through the movies, you know.
So the other thing I want to talk about was obviously the director, David Bruckner. So I did a little bit of like, you know, intervening in him, and I realized that he's actually the director of The Ritual, The Night House, and The Invitation, which are 3 films that I actually really do like. If you don't know, The Ritual, very Scandinavian folklore, you know, folk horror kind of thing, which I love. The Night House is all about the shadow people and the mirror dimension that people experience, which I love. It's terrifying. You should definitely watch it if you've never seen it.
I didn't like that movie.
I liked it. I liked the premise. I liked the style of it and the fact that they just show up. I don't know, it's fucking terrifying. And then The Invitation, which is the cult, you know, dinner party that they go to, which I love. So yeah, it's a load of like really good things. So like when I heard that David Bruckner had signed on, I was down. You know, I was definitely, because I know he's going to respect the art and the story from the original. Because like from The Ritual, he pulled all of the really, really strong, and I listened to The Ritual on audible.com. It's pretty good. And it was really good. It was fantastic. And like, I was like, oh my God, this is a fantastic film. So I knew it was in good hands. The other thing I really wanted to really get into was love it is his like sound mixing, the tolling of the bells, and the soundtrack that he creates, because that is a total like respectful homage to Christopher Young's original pieces.
That's what I was going to say. I was also wondering, because Hellraiser is another one of those which, like, it's from a time that we don't really have anymore, where like things have like an iconic score that like immediately go with it. Like when you think Jaws, you think of John Williams' score. When you think Halloween, you think the theme from that. We don't really get that a lot anymore. I mean, I suppose we have like Colin Stetson and like Hereditary and stuff like that, but I think again that's kind of a return to form that's still relatively a recent thing. Yeah. But with this, I was kind of like, how are they going to go? Because Hellraiser also has a pretty iconic score. Yeah. And we get it at the end. We get it when Leviathan comes back in. We just get that score played again, which I think they kind of had to do. I don't know.
I love the usage of orchestral like fiddles, like that kind of thing. I love that interpretation of using like the bass of like hundreds of guitars, like just riffing in that kind of thing. It's amazing.
Like that
makes
first
it
movie,
epic, you know?
Like that first Hellraiser movie. Again, it implies a lot, but it's also very, very small scale. Everything happens in one house. Yeah. You know, everything is kind of inferred. It's like, again, like reading that original book, The Hellbound Heart or whatever like that. There's just all these like massive, like vivid images that come into your head. Yes. But then you kind of see them explored in Hellraiser 2, where we actually get to see the labyrinth and we get to see Leviathan with all this like black light coming out, and it's just this like endless, completely like vast thing, you know, which I thought we were going to see a little bit of in this movie. I don't mind that we didn't, because again, it's a reintroduction to people. Like, this is technically the first movie in a new series. I'm very, very excited to see where they go with 2.
Yeah, that was sort of my biggest gripe. I actually have a particular note on that so like, obviously, I mean, we've seen it from the trailer, but it's obvious in the film that like Leviathan does show up, which is great.
Leviathan is sexy.
We get to see and experience like the hell dimension, but we don't get to explore it enough. And that was my biggest gripe. Like, we get little snippets of things like revolving skin trees and you know, the labyrinth and the bloody well that the guy goes down at the end. But it's not enough, in my opinion. It is something that I think the movie failed to deliver on. That was kind of my biggest gripe.
The first movie, though, like,
well,
because like
I just think it could have gone further with it.
But you're not just going to go straight to hell in the first Hellraiser movie. You know, a lot of it was stuff coming into our world, which again is how the first Hellraiser movie goes. It's people trying to get back here versus in the second movie. It's a lot of like, okay, I gotta go to hell to find my dad or like, I gotta go to hell to get Julia, you know, or whatever it is, or to defeat Frank or whatever. Because we spend quite a lot of time in the hellscape in the second movie.
Yes.
I will say I think the trailers promised the whole time. I think the trailers promised a little more hellscape
than what we got.
We get little peeks of it because the way it appears in this movie is really cool. The way they like dimensions kind of like break apart and things like kind of get a little geometric and fold into themselves and spread apart. Or we get like with what's her fucking name again?
Nora. The gay roommate.
Oh, when she's in the back of the van, she has her thing. And
yes.
It actually gave me Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
I think Hulu could be a cool. I think like whoever's doing shit like this could do a good Nightmare movie. It's just the fade back where it's like she's falling. They're getting further
away, and you can see. So this one, Nora's death was just excellent in my opinion. It was also like, because up until that point you hadn't got like a full vision of like the Hell Priest or whatever, but it was like the expanding car made me feel that no moment, you know what I mean? Because like in my opinion this film wasn't scary, but it was intense. And that like reverse splatter on the car floor was sick because it mirrored the flesh being torn off of her back, and it was just splattering on the van's, you know, floor. And I thought like it was just such a sick moment, and it was so cool. It was a callback. It reminded me of A Nightmare on Elm Street, of a mix between Glenn and Tina's death.
Very that.
Do you know what I mean?
The torture of it.
Yeah.
I almost don't want to go straight into this. So do we want to just go for like basic plot?
Yeah, so like it does give you the bare bones. I'll be fair. It's basically just a bunch of characters are being terrorized, and they have to go on this journey to find out why they're being terrorized. That's kind of the bare bones of it, really. Do
you want to kind of go from the beginning? I don't mean go scene by scene, but
I think in general, like the most memorable moments are kind of the biggest thing, really.
Okay. I'll just give a very, very small rundown.
Yeah.
So, main character Riley, she lives with her brother and his boyfriend, and she's kind of like on the fritz. We kind of like, it's like vaguely that she's an addict of some kind.
Yeah.
And she has a boyfriend that they kind of don't approve of, and then he's the MacGuffin that kind of brings everything together. They have a shipment that they want to go get, or that he wants to go get, and
basically
everything
so they can
from there.
Pawn off whatever is in the shipment container, and it's the Lament configuration.
I'm just getting rid of all the like kind of unimportant shit, because everything kind of jumps off from when they get to this.
Yeah.
So so pick some key scenes. So Riley, they have a big fight. She's just out after being with her boyfriend or whatever. She uses again. They do addiction really good in this movie, because she has a moment where she's going to go sleep in the car, and she decides like, fuck it, I'm not going to take these pills, and she throws them on the ground. But she has the Lament configuration with her, so she's like, right, whatever I'm going to try and figure this out, because she knows it's a puzzle box. Like, there's no having to figure that out or whatever. She's already trying to get into it. Throws all the pills on the ground and then decides, fuck it, I'm going to pick them all back up. She eats like 4 of them, so she ODs in the park. And this is where we get our first kind of
the trickling of Cenobites.
We forgot about the opening. I'll get to that in a sec.
I will say that the film is sort of slow to find its feet. It's subtle on the rollout of the experiences and the appearances of the Cenobites. It's quite a simple plot, as I said. Like, it's just they want to find out why they're being terrorized, and you have to buy into the shtick of that first. And of it all, so just to get to the good stuff, which technically is the Cenobite scenes.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, the movie does elevate itself to being like that of a Hellraiser movie, instead of like being a soulless 2022 reboot of with the same premise, or with the similar premise of the original Hellraiser. And you feel rewarded for getting there when shit does start to go down, you know?
I just think it's kind of a hard one to do, because it is like, if you're not somebody who's watched like all like 11 Hellraiser movies up until this, where after a certain point Cenobites are kind of just everywhere at all times. You can just see them. There's no pop-ups.
Which I would say that like Barker originally meant for them not to be the main thing. He was
just a facet of
they're
hell
just
that
a
happens
part
to
of
be there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do like that people have hyper focused on them, just because like they are, to me, the most interesting part of it is like who, because we don't explore that very often about hell. The idea of like who's running hell, like, and like what are the actual jobs in hell? What do people do? Where does Pinhead go to get his clothes tailored? You know. So this opening, the opening to the movie, I will say I was a little disappointed on the gore, but also it's made by Disney, it's made for streaming, whatever. There's still plenty of gore, don't get me wrong, but I was expecting to see like every inch of flesh be peeled. So the opening, we get this kind of like quote unquote sexy guy or whatever. He's like kind of younger at this party.
He's actually he's the quote unquote sex worker that was hired. Yeah, because that's the thing. I looked it up, and because even Riley says it when she Googles Voight and all of his things, and he's like, she mentions like a sadomasochist, a sex worker, a secretary, and blah blah. And by the way, the quote unquote female Cenobite is one of the people indicated in her Google search.
They all are.
All of the Cenobites that show up are those who Voight killed. Yeah.
Because we have the Weeper, who is I think my personal favorite design. My personal favorite new Cenobite.
She's very insectoid. And I love
because we were looking at it. Because she's got these like kind of big, solid black bug eyes. And then just this like... the way the skin is removed on the chin, it looks like a weird mandible. Like it looks kind of like a jowl or something.
And then her...
Oh, it's split, yeah. But then it's all these,
she's
like,
reaching her final form.
There's all this like little like kind of framework and stuff like that. It's stunning.
And sails and shit.
The pins right in the eye.
Yeah.
Right there. Sorry, we're getting all over the place. Yeah. But with this, so there's kind of
and we don't get a name, it's just Voight just shows up and just tells him it's a puzzle box, fix it, and I get a prize.
Yeah, and we already, like, again, we're always like, us two, or like most people listening are kind of like, like, okay, don't it's not even going to be relevant by the time we get there.
no, keep going. But I'm not, go for it.
But yeah, so we kind of get like chains, like kind of vague kind of implications of what's happening, but then we get him strung up.
It's all I
like that motif
in the background
of how almost sentient the chains are.
Yeah,
the chains can kind of like manipulate you in whatever way.
This is going to sound weird. I would have liked a few more chains. That's just that weird.
I wanted every death to be like Nora's death.
Yes,
or to be like Voight at the end. Voight at the end was when I
delicious.
Started clapping. It's exactly what I wanted. But
it reminded me of obviously Frank's death from the original. Yeah. It was a cool callback to like Jesus wept.
It's like almost Frank in reverse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But so this opening kill is kind of whatever. It kind of set the tone where I was like, okay, how is Disney Hellraiser going to look, and how is it going to go? How far are they going to go? But yeah, the opening is kind of whatever, and then we get to the brother. Because the brother goes to look for her after he kicked her out. Yeah. She's passed out. I do like the fact that people are kind of like, it's credible that she could just be making it up, so people don't believe her straight away.
Yes, and I love the way she's like, I don't remember. Anytime anyone asks something about it, I don't remember. And then immediately, they're all suspicious of her. Yeah. I will say, I'm going to give it as a dull machete. Say what you want, but he dies off screen. I was like, no.
I know.
No, show me. Show me how he died. I want to die.
Starting to get nervous.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, like,
why are you pulling away from this? The last person to die fucking also died in the background.
Yeah.
Like, what's out of focus? He died out of focus, and then dissolve, and then this guy dies in the bathroom. Nobody sees it. It was kind of a worry.
It was a good scene though. Anyway, the brother is played by Brandon Flynn, who you may know from 13 Reasons Why. I haven't watched it, but he actually kind of plays a Riley role in 13 Reasons Why. He's kind of a quote-unquote junkie in that.
I love their fight scene. I
thought they both act very well, where she's like, tell me to get out, and he's like, get the fuck out!
Yeah, I thought it was so intense. I think that scene could have lasted just a little bit longer for me.
Yeah.
Specifically just because, I mean, he does die off screen. If he had died on screen, I would have felt more for him.
I don't
because
know.
he dies off screen and the fight was so short, I didn't think it deserved him to disappear just completely for, let's say, 90% of the film.
Because that's the MacGuffin,
you know?
really. It's not even her boyfriend. It really, the thing that kicks her off to get it like done is to be like, okay, where did my brother go? Like, what happened? I don't know. Kind of thinking about it now, I think it would have been weird to have. I think it would have been weird pacing wise to have like a big rip apart a body gore scene like 15 minutes in, you know, because again, I think because if we're I know it's hard to remove ourselves from this, but if we're watching
Hellraiser, we're coming for Hellraiser. You know exactly what you're getting yourself into.
But watch the first Hellraiser movie. There's not that much in it. I think a lot of people kind of lump Hellraiser 1 and 2 together, or I think Hellraiser 2 is massively gory.
Yes.
We got extreme gore in the first Hellraiser movie, but there's not a lot of it, really. Mm-hmm. Like, Cenobites kind of only pop up twice. And Frank's...
Once at the beginning and then once at the
Frank's
end. Yeah.
Scene, you know, a lot of the kills for Julia are off screen or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I didn't mind that so much because we hear it. We hear
a scream and we hear some chains.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
So inadvertently, he has become the first quote-unquote sacrifice to this new box. And I actually really like this new box.
Yes. Can we just talk about that?
Each configuration means a different thing, you know?
Yeah. The one thing I was going to say is that introducing the whole new aspect to the puzzle box is amazing. And it only serves to further the lore that Hellraiser has. So like if you don't know, like basically in the previous like iterations of Hellraiser is basically just like you rub your finger on the top and you've activated the box, whereas in this film it expands on that, where it is a literal puzzle box and you have to move it around a bit.
Pull pieces and slide them. Literally in every movie, somebody kind of just accidentally rubs that little circle piece.
It's the nipple of the box.
And it just
turns it on.
No, somebody has like rotoscoped blue electricity over it.
Yeah,
and then they appear somewhere.
And then suddenly it happens.
But with this, it's like you could be throwing the puzzle box, fuck around with it for a couple hours, and nothing could happen.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
But I like that little hook, that little knife, that comes out. Like,
because they say like it's marked you as the next sacrifice in the chain to get to the Leviathan configuration. So there are 6 configurations that the Lament has been given. We've actually been hinted at the Leviathan configuration in the second film, but other than that we kind of never really saw it in any other way apart from when the box lifts and twists into a diamond shape. But that's about it.
Well, I thought we were going hellbound with this movie because with that doctor, I thought Voight was going to be
the Channard character
kind of way.
I
thought he was going to be Dr. Channard, and I kind of was like, okay, like
I could be down with that.
Sense.
Yeah.
And then like in the trailer, the kind of like their blood and pain all for us. I was kind of like, oh, okay, so the whole
they're
thing
going
is
in that
be
direction.
About like him hunting people down and bringing them to the mansion, or like just the Channard thing, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm kind of glad we didn't, because I'm looking at this as a complete retcon and a complete reintroduction to the series for people who've
never heard of it before.
Know?
Yeah. Well, the 6 sites, like there's Lament, there's Lore, there's Laudrent, there's Liminal, Lazarus, and Leviathan.
Yeah.
So it's life, knowledge, love, sensation, meaning sex.
Yes.
Resurrection.
Thank you for clarifying that. I never would have figured that out.
And power.
What does love mean?
So like I love the idea of basically it's not, you don't get to like the Laudrent, which is the love configuration, and then you get the wish. No, you have to go all the way through it to Leviathan, and then you choose which configuration and which wish you want.
Leviathan is kind of the genie lamp.
Yeah,
sort of.
I do want to say like the expansion of the lore just really it's done well, and it's explained in such a way that it does make it simple for people to understand who've never if you have completely, like the other night I watched it with some of my housemates who have never heard of Hellraiser before, and they were like, got it, you know, case closed, understood what it was about, no problem. Because
even in the original, again, I go, when I think of the original, I think of the first 3. Because I feel like they're kind of a contained little thing, and then it starts to get messy after that.
Yeah.
But it's like a fairly simple, or at least should be a fairly simple kind of thing. But I think this managed to just lay it out very easily. Like all the pieces are nicely laid out.
Yeah, they're nicely arrayed, so a casual viewer. If I had to explain this
movie to somebody, I wouldn't have to be like, oh, and then you got to read the book.
Yeah.
And then you got to read this comic too that explains why this happened, and he is like this because of this or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's all very nice and simple.
Yeah.
So who's next?
So Serena, who's the lawyer of Voight.
Helene Maxwell.
Yeah. So
they really went kind of Epstein with him.
Yeah. So her character is like, I actually realized that I'd seen her before somewhere, and I didn't think until I searched her up. And she is she's been in a couple of films, but the one that I recognized was The Nativity Story. Weirdly enough, she plays one of Mary Magdalene's aunts she's been in a couple of things.
She played her in 2022,
which is good
for 2049.
So her death, out of everything, to me was probably the most intense, because basically what Riley does along with Trevor was the fact that they go in. They ask her the questions because her name is on the crate. Yeah, exactly. That's cool. So, she gets a big kerfuffle happens, but basically she gets cut by it, and she gets sent away. She's on her own, and then basically shit starts to go down. And the one thing that was the big no moment for me is she stands up out of her chair, a wall, which, by the way, all the wall movements, all of this were all practical effects. There was not much digital, CGI used in this film, apart from obviously the big Leviathan and all that kind of thing. But that blue lightning, kind of waving light that happens over everything. Oh, and in the background, the asphyxiation shows up, and just it's wheezing, and it walks in the background by the door, and I'm just like, no, I don't like this. Mommy, help, please.
Oh, very good. You think this is the most intense one?
No, I think it's one of the more intense scenes.
I think I kind of can't wait to get to Nora,
because she immediately you just feel bad for her. You just feel bad for her. It, though. She did. She absolutely did. But the terror that you kind of feel for her is just It's
because she knows it's coming. She already knows what's up. I actually think...
And she gives up. She just gets cornered and she gives up.
At the actual opening to this. Because it's... There's an exchange of...
Yeah. Is that my money?
Yeah, exactly. And then she's the one. So she's the one that, again, I think that would have been a perfect way... I almost wish they leaned into the Epstein of it all a little bit more, to have, what kind of perverse things are you doing with people you're kidnapping or whatever, and then feeding them to this box.
Yeah,
getting to Leviathan.
Yeah,
and her kind of being the Helene or Lane, whatever, however you fucking say the chick's name. Her being the kind of Helene Maxwell, being the recruiter.
Yeah,
I kind of find that really fucked up and twisted. I think they could have made it even darker.
Yeah,
Clive Darker. I think they could have made it even darker. But I like the fact that when Riley and her dude show up, Riley's boyfriend is kind of more important than that. But we'll get to him.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of just there most of the time. He doesn't really
do anything
much.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that when she shows up and Riley kind of throws the box on the table, she's kind of she kind of knows what's up.
Yeah.
And they try and have this little struggle. And
she immediately says, this is not the first configuration.
Yeah.
She knows what's up. She knows what's happening. And then she dooms herself. She knows immediately what's just happened.
Because she gets it's as soon as your blood... or as soon as your flesh is opened by this thing, you're marked.
Yeah.
And again, the rules are kind of inconsistent. Actually, no. I would say that there's generally about the same amount of time between stabbings and opening up of hell.
Yeah.
But she gets a tiny little cut, I think, between her fingers or something, and then they leave because they're like, "Oh fuck, we stabbed this woman." And then they just book it out again. Riley is not likable, I think, and also putting her in a state of panic makes her less relatable and less endearing, because she's kind of a dick, but I think most people would in that situation.
Just being a solid.
But yeah, she gets wheeled off into this thing, and she's already dying, by the way.
She's got lung cancer.
Yeah. And the nurses bring her into this room, and there's already a guy in the
coughing and wheezing.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of teases of Cenobites in this movie.
Yeah.
But everything kind of gets darker, and the room kind of expands and shifts, and like a puzzle box.
Windows are like closing up vertically. And,
it's very kind of Doctor Strange in that way, like the mirror dimension, when everything kind of just disappears into itself. And then we get the... Oh, hold on. So there's... I'm pretty sure... Okay.
Well, I do think the kind of biggest thing about that was the changing of like the lighting and
it's the asphyx I'm thinking of.
Yeah, the asphyxiation. It shows up and like basically it tracks her down, and she gets cornered by both the asphyxiation and the weeper. Sorry, it's actually known as the weeping, and the what's her name? The weeper. Oh. Well, there you go. And the other one, she's not the mother, she's the gas. The gas. That's what she's known as.
See, okay, I was getting confused because there's one that wheezes and then there's one that whose face is covered. But are they two separate? Because there's a couple of times, well, I say a couple of times, there's one, like you just mentioned there, the mother who's in it for a second.
I've never heard of it.
But she is a Cenobite though.
Well, she really is a Cenobite.
She is from Hell. Yeah, but just this is kind of the first time we actually get to properly see and have
and that
kind
they
of a
speak
look.
to you and
yeah.
It's the nun kind of looking one.
Yeah,
the quote unquote female Cenobite, shall we say?
Yeah, because she's there's the gasp and then there's
the gasp, the asphyxiation, and
the asphyx
weeping.
is the one with the face covered, and then the gas is
the female Cenobite. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Oh, because she's got the throat opened and pulled like out like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Grand.
She is. I also can I just say the fact that they have these sort of dark blue eyes this time. I fucking love it.
But you can see the original color of the eye underneath. I love it.
I think it's sick. It's twisted. It still shows emotion as well, which is what I love,
as opposed to the solid black of the original.
Because you can't tell what a Cenobite is. Not the,
or even where
like,
they're looking.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. But like with this, even with obviously what happened was with Voight at the end, like you can tell from those eyes,
it's
like what the emotion and the intent is, you know?
Because it's almost like a solid black eye, but with like a very, very small blue iris.
Yes.
I think it stands out a little bit more.
Yeah. Plus it's a hint of more colour, apart from sort of like the pale flesh tones that the rest of the body encompasses. The flesh tone is
all gorgeous because it's all white. Like the skin is still pristine, but then you just get this like, it's like dark red, like internal blood kind of red.
Yeah,
I figured they kind of did this might have been happenstance, because when you wear a contact, unless your pupil is dilated, you can still see your regular color underneath.
Yeah,
but I reckon they kind of did that and figured like that
actually
kind of looks cool.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
I can't like praise these like Cenobite designs enough.
Yeah,
just because taking something so already so iconic, and then just like
move on from it. Yeah.
Because a lot of the times I don't know how you can like, how do you redesign Freddy, or how do you redesign Jason or Michael Myers? You know, it's like, how do you do it without making it just not that anymore? But I don't know. They're so stunning. They're so stunning.
Well, the three sort of Cenobites in this scene, I mean, they kind of all do sort of show up, depending on what person that they're sort of with. But like the three that show up in this, which is the gas, and the gas is like Pinhead's right hand in a way, and a redesign of the female Cenobite. Like, we just call it what it is, really. And I get the sense that when the Hell Priest, when the Hell Priest is not around, this is the one that sort of speaks for her, if that makes sense, or for
she talks
it.
A lot in this
I should say, yes, she does. She really has. Out of everything else, she has the most lines.
She's gorgeous as well.
Yeah,
she's got two pins like going like right in there,
a septum one
just before the
on
eye.
Her tongue as well, in her in her jawline, in her neck.
Well, everything, because it's not hooks. Everything is pinned.
Yeah,
you know. I think it's really stunning. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, I'm pretty sure that Pinhead in this movie is the one that made all of these, because they all have the pearl pin motif, and then at the end when we see Voight, he also gets all the pearl pins, you know.
And then you have the asphyxiation. So his face is covered. It's pulled tight to distract from the fact that it does see you. It makes it look like it can't, like, but it blind. Does see you.
Yeah.
Which is like terrifying, because when it like undoes that sort of like constraint that holds it back, it just runs directly at them. Before. It scared the shit out of me.
But like to have the kind of Cenobite look fail in a way, because it rips apart. I don't think that was that obviously wasn't on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all the back skin is cut out, blood eagled, and then pulled and stretched across the face, and it looks looks Catholic almost. Like it looks like a veil, but like out of flesh. And I think they tried to do the same thing with Gasp and have it look like a veil, but I think for some reason I'm like, the skin on top of your head wouldn't stretch that far.
Yeah,
because it comes down to the shoulder.
It's very like Italian nun, where the hat sort of comes out wide like a pair of wings.
It's sort of Angelique from the later Hellraiser series. But I would have rathered an exposed skull and then all this pulled down.
Yeah,
it's just the fact that it looks like there's a regular head and then a panel of skin pulled over top.
Yeah,
but again, that's a small gripe. It's kind of the only
but it doesn't.
That looks a little done.
It doesn't. It doesn't. The gore with the Cenobites, which I do appreciate, is it doesn't pull you so far into the point of ridiculousness where it pulls you out of the film.
Well, no, it all looks like that's how real flesh would be manipulated. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying with her. She's the only one where I'm like, I don't think you could do that. Like even with Chatterer, which we still haven't gotten to yet. I love Chatterer.
Yeah, he does show up pretty well. Yeah,
it's almost like borderline Resident Evil, but you can see that it's like all the skin under the lip is cut like on either side, and all of this is pulled up and sewn in there, so that it kind of makes sense. Like you feel like you could do that with flesh or with Pinhead and stuff like that. You could just remove those little panels of flesh and skin would just hang like that.
Yeah.
But I actually have the name of the person who did all these designs. I'll get them at one point. They're
the last one in the scene is the Weep. Like when you look at that thing, even you said it earlier, it's like you look at it and like say, what in the name of fuck is that? What am I looking at?
The noise as well.
And like the insectoid and gross, like she weeps and giggles all at the same time.
That's what it says. The subtitle said weep and giggle.
Yeah, it's so weird and distracting and creepy all at the same time. And I really do. I enjoy the concept behind each of them, you know?
So the designer is Frank Bezichon. But he had his own kind of version of like Inktober, where he just kept releasing
like the 3D
kept releasing like new Cenobite designs. I'll throw a couple of these up on the Insta, but like fucking hell, I kind of want them to go more extreme in a this kind of way, with like the whole face carved out or hollowed out, or that's actually a rip of Victoria Elizabeth Black's Witch.
So
we also have a rip of Victoria.
I was just going to say. So speaking of one, there's this Cenobite called the Mask. Now it's greatly horrifying. It's Lovecraftian in a way, and being without. It's a being without a physical form. It's just a skin sack.
I was going to say, because there's no head at the back.
There's no head. There's no muscle structure. There's no bones. There's nothing. It's literally just the skin itself.
Also, all the genitals of all the
are all exposed. They're there.
They're all cut off.
Are they?
They're all cut off. If you look at the genitals, everything is either like sewn up.
You went looking there?
Well, I did, because they're naked. I wondered how far they were going to go.
Yeah.
Because he's actually the first one we get to see in the trailer. And he walks up and he's got... this is stunning design where it's like... it almost looked like Native American to me. Like it looked like Native American beadwork, but like out of flesh, where there's like these big panels of flesh, like cut into with all this like
with all the kind of ribbing along. Yeah.
And then when you get to the end of here, the penis is cut off and that skin is pulled out like this. And then the rest of them, they're all either sewn up or cut off. But the vast majority of Cenobites in this movie are female.
Yeah.
Which you don't usually get at all. There's usually a female, and she's the female.
We'll do a comparison for sure of the Mask and Victoria Black's Mask, because that was...
It has to be.
It has to be an inspiration for this, because I remember watching that on Dragula, and I was like, yes, if it was a Cenobite, that's what I want.
But it is. I don't know how she didn't fucking win that episode.
And then the exposed spine on the back,
which we also
fucking
got in this,
amazing.
We also got in this movie.
We did.
But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think like the designs with like with the gasp, she's got like kind of going back to the Leonardo da Vinci medical things. Her breasts are there, but they're skinned.
Yes,
there's no flesh on the breast or on the nipple or anything. It's just it's so stunning. But the mask, again, kind of more masculine.
Yeah.
Kind of more plain.
The mask and the Chatterer
the only male
are sort of the only two that at least that give off male.
But they actually are the only males though.
Yeah.
Because we have Hellpriest, we have the Mother as well. I don't think we know what the X-Fix is.
Yeah, because it's just very thin,
more pulled and mangled. And again, there's no genitals, so we can't really like see. Not that necessarily means anything, but
one of the more kind of memorable deaths, possibly Golden Chainsaw Award type shit, is Nora.
Oh, of course. Oh my god, we got an internal shot of her throat.
So this entire scene is like, which by the way was terrifying at the start, because she gets locked up in sort of the behind back walls part of Void's mansion.
I couldn't tell what I was looking at.
Yeah, so
I thought he was like he kind of gave me like Juggernaut from 13 Ghosts or something.
Yes,
just
because
this big piece of I thought it was on the head.
Yeah,
or Gearhead or something from like the 4th or 5th movie.
The way I was looking at it was, I thought this was sort of because it was all dark, it was all silhouetted. So I thought, oh my god, are they bringing back the engineer? And because legit from the trailer, you have no idea what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And then when the scene comes along, it's like, oh my god, is the engineer going to show up? Oh my god, what's going on?
Oh, a bit of setup. They go to Voight's house, which is so stunning.
I want it.
The outside of it has this like, it's like a big mansion with a cage around it, but the cage has like all this kind of,
and it's a callback to the Lament configuration, of course.
Yeah, there actually is quite a lot of callbacks to a lot of the movies in this.
Yeah,
but yeah, it has all these kind of geometric designs like the outside of the Lament configuration, or Le Marchand's box, which is what it's called in the book. Yeah, fucking hell, the sets in this movie, well, not the sets, just set, because the last kind of 45 minutes of this movie takes place in this mansion. Yes. So stunning. The inside of it, oh my god. The inside of it I thought was part of the hellscape in the trailer. Yeah. Because it's all set up like that. And the sunroof that like comes
the glass
apart
ceiling
and has like different formations. Fuck me, it was gorgeous.
So she gets stabbed by Voight, who is taking possession of Le Marchand's box, which is in a new configuration after obviously Serena is murdered. So it changes again in Riley's bag in the back, which I loved. I thought that was so cool. Like when it moved to that shot, you could see it move inside the bag, and I was like, perfect. I already know exactly what's happening.
They made the box almost a new and like a character in this movie.
So she gets stabbed, and basically she's the next offering. She's the next marked one.
Oh, she gets stabbed in the back with it.
Back, bro. In the back.
It kind of made me laugh because it was almost goofy because she's on the floor. And by the way, the actress that plays Nora she put her whole pussy in this performance.
She really did.
It's just because I don't know why I think like realistic depictions of being in pain, I know it sounds terrible, but I'm kind of a sucker for it. I told you it kind of reminded me of Aoife Hines, by the way, is the actress that plays Nora, but it kind of reminded me of Olga from Suspiria, because she's just getting tortured for like 10 minutes. Yeah. And just the sheer she's not trying to make it sound,
oh god,
exactly, she's not trying to make it sound, she's not trying to make it sound flattering. It just sounds like what would happen if somebody was getting kind of twisted apart. But this fucking kill, you guys.
Yeah, she basically like gets dragged back into the van, and we talked about it earlier, but I've just got to give it everything, because the way immediately you get the sense that no matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter how safe you think you are, you're marked, you're fucked. Yeah. So
very Nightmare on Elm Street.
I loved this shot. It was definitely, I remember you were saying that you had this moment where it's very like oh no, oh fuck, like that kind of like
there
long
isn't anything they
distance,
can
like
actually do.
kind of moment. That was me
the sunken place
when
kind of.
yes, it was that moment when I saw the either end of the car just disappearing away, and then all of a sudden the rocks or the labyrinth itself shows up, you know, and
I'm actually just
and
gonna
then the
get
mask,
that scene up so I can,
you know, all of that kind of thing.
have a little look.
So I think it's the mask shows up, and then the Chatterer shows up. So the Chatterer, real quick on his sort of great redesign. I love that. They took away the
slender.
eyes.
It's almost like armor.
I'm delighted with that. Took away the eyes because that was a terrible,
I don't
terrible
like the
decision
look of the second version of the Chatterer, just because it's so twisted to just have teeth because it's there's no lips or anything. It's just all of you guys can't see it, but it's like, just imagine lips
pulled right back over the eyes,
sewn into the eyes, and then the bottom lip is sewn all the way to under the chin. But then it's like, I don't even know, it looks like bunched and stapled together around the chest. It's the most plain looking one, but it's so effective.
Well, it's effective because he's very tall, very
slim. The actor was like 7 foot tall or something.
I will say the way the Chatterer looks reminded me of, you ever see those fiberglass moldings of people's like chest up to their head?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that, where all the bolts
looks like they're locked
like
together.
sit in. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it reminded me of, especially with the back. If you look at the back of the Cenobites thing, like all of the rib cage and everything is popping out underneath like fingers. So it makes it feel like he was just like, there was one half and then there was another half and he was just clamped together,
like segmented together.
Yeah, and I loved it. I thought it was such a creepy, gross design.
So she wakes
worked
up
well
in quote unquote hell. This is why I think we will explore more, because we do have they have a clear vision of what the hellscape should look like, which again is all kind of labyrinth, tunnel, maze-esque, which is perfect. But like, we see the mask kind of step out, and again, this is kind of our first clear reveal of the Cenobites, because we've seen them technically, but
we've seen them in the shadows and stuff.
See them kind of. This is the floor show. We show off and move. So we get the mask step out, and then Chatterer steps out, but just like, I can't even do it. I have my tooth in, and you could stop now.
Okay.
But then she gets like, all these chains come out and they pull her up, but they're like manipulating the way she. They don't just hold her in place. They're like,
they pull her legs behind her. They pull her
she gets
head
hogtied
back,
basically with with chains, and then we get to see out of focus Jamie Clayton.
Back rolls.
We get to see out of focus Jamie Clayton, 2 fingers pointed to the ground, 2 fingers pointed to the sky, walk towards the camera, and then come into focus.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Now, I kind of want to get into the conversation of having a trans actor play Pinhead, because I think it's very, very fitting. I think it was intentional, because we're supposed to have Pinhead, the Cenobites in general, but Pinhead particularly, is supposed to be kind of quote unquote androgynous. Even though they go with a more outrightly female looking thing in this, again, all the genitals are shorn off, so there's no
no definitive answer. Yeah,
but the voice, the voice is like sexy.
Yeah,
and I wondered, because I never watched Sense8, which is
Jamie Clayton. So she is,
but Jamie Clayton's voice sounds like that.
Yeah,
where
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
Fuck, bro, just talk to me.
She is undoubtedly the star of the show.
Yes,
her as the Hell Priest is just phenomenal. Her actions, the dialogue, the movements she makes, like, are just creepiness.
She knows who she is
in Pinhead form. Tell me everything I need to know about the entity, without telling me, because she did it all just by standing there looking like Baphomet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, seriously. But again, the Baphomet, I think that's obviously super on purpose, because there's there's an androgyny to Baphomet, and the androgyny to nature and stuff. But just when she steps in out of focus into focus,
it's everything.
And then we get to see those. We were kind of going back and forth about what are these little voice box pieces in the throat, and then the back of the neck is cut out where the spinal cord is exposed. And I remember seeing the first picture when it came out, and I was kind of like, okay, it looks a little bulky.
Yeah,
in the
you
face,
were. I remember
but it was
you
a
weren't
close-up.
particularly happy with, like.
I mean, it was Pinhead.
Yeah.
But then, and again, like now I'm like I fucking love it. I'm obsessed. But
Yeah.
I thought it looked a little bulky. But then watching it again, it's just like fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
you sort of
look at
forgot
her.
about it after like a split second, you know?
And again, because it's all practical, it's like those people actually looked like that on set, so it doesn't read as looking shit or cheap or whatever. But just so Nora is praying because Nora is being held like that hogtied where she's like, or at first she's facing forward
Imagine
with
her
the
as a
legs held up.
backwards C.
Yeah, seriously. And then that gets flipped. So she's got like she's facing the ceiling and she's doing her little prayers and stuff like that.
She's like,
And
our
Pinhead's
Father
like,
who art in heaven.
Yeah, just to herself, which kind of has a weird note when you actually are in hell praying.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you pray for? And she's like, or just say, she says salvation. And, what the fuck is
She says, and what does that sound like? And she goes, a joyful note.
Oh, yeah.
A never-ending bliss. And she just basically says, like, that's boring, bitch. Come join
God
us
is
in
not
hell.
here today, please.
That's basically it. And she's like, she takes the pen from her, the center of her head.
And while Nora is screaming...
And that's a good 3 inches of a pin,
That's
bitch.
a generous 3-inch. I don't know who told you what that but like, we get an internal shot of Nora screaming from the inside of her throat, and then we see the pin go through. This is going to be hard to describe without like showing
Imagine
you guys.
a hollowed out meat sausage.
But it goes through like her
vocal
throat and
cords.
vocal cords, that when she's screaming it like it
Yeah.
like manipulates it and then pulls it out, and she's still there. She's still alive. And I think it's kind of at this point where I think Chatterer comes up and bites on her a little bit.
Yeah.
And then at this point, this is where Riley kind of sees, like, in the reflection.
It's that oh shit moment.
But that moment where Pinhead is still standing there and kind of just like,
hey girl.
has a little like C.
Yeah.
And then whatever way it is, that like the vision starts to like vibrate.
Yeah.
And then Nora just gets like, just pulled apart.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I do think Jamie really did. She did an excellent job, and I know she was dedicated to the role because up until that point, she did say in an interview that she wasn't getting many roles. And she said as soon as she was told she would get this position that she dedicated herself to the character. And I gotta say, like,
iconic.
she you know,
She could sit at the table with Doug Bradley.
Absolutely, like, and then Doug Bradley gave her his blessing, and I gotta say that's what I need to hear, because like, if you have the original actor or just like Clive Barker, I mean, the fact that Clive Barker jumped on as a producer and was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this return to form.
Time.
This is it, you know. And as Pinhead, like a trans woman is appropriate. I do think like it is like Hollywood, you know. It's a little progressive, of course, for some people's you know, views, but sure, but like Hollywood should have been on board with this train years ago. And the fact and like, I mean, like, if you don't know, she was in Sense8. She's also in The Neon Demon as well.
Yeah,
which and she's been able to play a new role.
I'd love to be able to talk about the Neon Demon one day.
Yeah. She's also just taken on a new role for an unnamed project that's based in the 70s and the 80s, where she will be portraying a trans sex worker in around that period, which should be really interesting. But yeah, I do think, like, you know, the fact that Pinhead is not altogether human, at least not anymore, and not altogether male or female, is sort of an appropriate role for a woman that is trans. And I think that's, and like you said earlier, like the way Clive Barker in The Hellbound Heart like describes Pinhead is that it does have a female voice that giggles and with excitement and things like that.
Pinhead in the original book isn't gendered.
Yes, exactly.
It's not referred to as he or she,
and it's not referred to as Pinhead either. It's referred to as the Hell Priest.
Yeah, and again, isn't even the main Cenobite. I think it just has the most interesting looking design out of them all.
So I gotta say, like, the total redesign just breathes new and fresh life into an otherwise dead character.
That's what I was gonna say. I would be pissed if they just casted some dude and they had the
same leather tunic.
Like, it would have been boring.
Yeah,
you know, because we've had, like, again, I think a lot of people forget actually how expansive, or not even how expansive, how like numerous the Hellraiser franchise is.
Yeah,
because there's like
ranging from perfect to absolute trash.
Absolute trash. Like I think they only made one like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
you know, but nobody fucking knew that because they don't count. Like this was and
also the only reason why that film exists is because they needed to keep the rights to it, otherwise they would have lost it.
I see you, Dimension. You know, it's actually weird.
We see what you're doing.
It's a huge reason, like the Me Too movement. I know this is kind of a tangent, but the Me Too movement and stuff like that is actually huge for why we're getting a lot of the horror we're getting, because Dimension for a while had kind of that's the Weinstein's horror branch. You know, that pops up in the front of Scream and all this kind of stuff. They had a hold on kind of a lot of franchises at the time. I'm pretty sure they also had Hellraiser in there. So a lot of those properties and stuff are up for grabs, or were up for grabs. It's where we're going to see an influx of new movies, of older series. It's where we're getting a lot of Lego sequels now. I think we're very much due for a new Friday movie and a new Nightmare movie, because it's been kind of a long time, and we're in that era now of Lego sequels and being able to make it work. Yeah. I am very glad they didn't do that with this movie though. Yeah. That they just made it a straight up like cut and paste, like it's a new thing. There's no in between. But
her design
great.
You saw right through that, didn't you? But her design honestly was
Pinhead.
Out of everything is iconic to me. The mangled sort of flesh tunic that replaces the leather garments in an almost, I literally wrote here in a brackets, almost unholy cardinal like way is fantastic.
Well, it is. She's
like
very
the
much
symmetry,
as a priest.
The creepiness. Her pins are so long and deeply embedded in her skull that she just like, how does she even speak?
She's got like her hand is partially skinned, so it looks like the original glove with like only 2 fingers in it.
And that close up of her feet, where the sort of flesh tunic like floats, and you can see like the blood of her footprints as she walks down is so fucking good. I love the fact that they're just like nothing's going to replace the iconic sort of leather bound leather daddy Pinhead, but this design is, it's sort of eerily beautiful.
It's more masochistic,
exactly,
or it's more sadistic rather. They make, like I even said to you before we started recording, it makes so much more sense, because I know this sounds dumb and I know it sounds kind of like a nitpick, but I'm like, where do you get shoes in hell?
Yeah, like, exactly.
Where do they get their boots? Do they got underwear under there? Like, where do they get belt buckles in hell? You know, I think it makes so much more sense to have it all be like the flesh is removed from what's underneath. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, the flesh is just an aesthetic. Yeah. You know, like the whole... but it's weird, they don't go with sex in this movie. No. That's part of it, whereas we have, again, like we have the configuration for sensation. So it's like Frank was only going for that.
He was like, I think in the book he said that he expected basically a carpet of naked women with big breasts ready to like fuck him forever, and that's what thing. And then
you gotta fuck your knees,
you know. it sort of comes across as sort of liminal, shall we say, but like the fact that Jamie Clayton's character, the Hell Priest, says like, greater delights await, we wish to see you proceed. Like, they want them to go further with how fucked up they can make Riley become.
You almost feel like, sure,
yeah, why not? Come on. You know, and like explorers, she says like, we are explorers of the further regions of experience of sensation's rim. You know, our gifts are boundless, and like it tells me, without telling me anything, it tells me where they're
like, we have other movies to contextualize what she's saying.
Exactly. Yeah, you know? Exactly. So like, without further context given, you know, they're not showing me, they're telling me, but because I'm already aware of what they mean by that,
like I know what that looks like.
You don't need to show me it, you know.
It's so that trailer I sent you for the Hellraiser, like the fan thing from a couple of years ago, where it's literally like this big stone pit of just people writhing around with blood and flesh and metal, and then you have this like Actually kind of similar to what we got designed for Pinhead, where it's kind of just a skirt, but then all of this is cut and segmented and bifurcated. And then, like, because that's what I always imagine reading the books. I'm way too young. Just fully imagining, like, a hell being, because the original Hellraiser is so wrapped up in sex. And bondage and S&M and, you know, I imagine hell being stone and flesh and metal, like just like all over, just an ocean of flesh. And I wonder if they'll go into that next time, because I think this whole movie was kind of just, I'm looking at it as like the first chapter. So I think we'll get a lot more. I feel like we might explore different configurations in the next movies. I also think that they very much so could give us what we have in the comics with the new current Pinhead, or at least the last time I read a Hellraiser comic, is Kirsty Cotton, and she is female Pinhead. You know, I think if they really wanted to wrap this up in a Lego sequel, they could.
I think if they were to fully transform, you know,
as opposed to this form.
Transform like this series, they can elevate it, they can, you know, they can put it in such a, like, I'm happy with it, and I would be happy to see this explored in another sequel and wrap it up maybe as a trilogy and things like that. I think that would be fantastic.
They set it up beautifully, you
know, and like I could see Kirsty returning and being like, well, you know what, I've already got that, so female Pinhead, Hell Priest, go fuck yourself. I'm better. You know, I would.
I'm determined to enjoy myself.
Flames,
you know,
on the side of my head.
You know, I see myself enjoying that, and I think that's a really good route to go down, because that's a huge moment in the comics where Kirsty Cotton takes over from Pinhead, and
Pinhead
he's
and
transformed
have,
into
like,
being human again, or some shit.
They have a weird relationship. I kind of find it adorable. But it is, because it's weird, because they could just kill her at any time. But
once is an instance, twice is a hobby.
That's
exactly what Pinhead is like in the second film. He's like,
but it is
a girl.
Like, again, bro. But then we find, I think it's Hellraiser Revelations, because again they get into the series where it's not just Hellraiser 4, it's Hellraiser whatever title underneath. It is actually a cutscene, but they had already been doing this in the comics at the time, where she's in hell, she's talking to him again, and he's like that. It's just, girl, like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, I already let you go. And she's like, right, okay, this time I'll bring you 5 souls if you just like fuck off and just like leave me alone or whatever. But then it's like, but girl, you stay finding yourself in our company, just like, come on over, just you know, I think it is cute. It's kind
grab
of
it and put on a little bit of leather, you know. You know, you'll find that these pins can be quite slimming.
I like to have a weird little connection between my villain and my female hero. Like, even Freddy and Nancy's kind of back and forth. Because it's like he remembers her after the first movie, though. So when she comes back in for 3, he's kind of like, oh, it's you. You know, I like to have like it's adversarial on both sides. It's not just villain and whatever. It's like, clearly this bitch is in somebody's way. You know.
Well, the sort of penultimate moments from kind of the last, shall we say, 30 minutes.
We haven't talked about the story at all.
Yeah,
so her boyfriend is actually like a secret undercover agent.
He's a traitor son of a bitch. That's
but we don't
what
find any of this out until like the very end. When they all get to Voight's mansion. We've really just been jerking off over these fucking costume designs, which
we really
I kind of figured we would.
It's a circle jerk of,
it's a very visual movie.
You know, people into sadomasochism, you know.
Seriously though, I love it. But so they have a plan, or we find out that Voight has built this mansion in such a way, and then he's been doing this, and then had his. But this is his second time. I actually didn't realize this the first time. It's actually his second time going through the Lament configuration entirely, or through Lemershon's box.
Knows what he's doing.
But which is weird again, because it kind of implies that there will be more Cenobites next time.
Yes,
because he's done this process again, or rather Riley has, but that this mansion was built specifically to house them and to trap them after the first time.
Yeah.
Because again, Voight, quote unquote, went missing, but he wasn't. He just pulled a bad Ronnie and lived in the walls.
Can I just say the fact that immediately I would just be suspicious of a mansion that's been closed for 6 years.
With all the stuff in it.
Still has electricity.
And all the
I'd be
stuff.
like, and heating and all the stuff and blah, blah, blah. And like, they literally just got in through a side window.
Turned the immersion on or something.
Yeah. You know, I'm just like, immediately I'm a little suspicious. This is a little sus. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, but hell is real.
Oh, but hell is fine, though.
But they basically kind of figure all this out. Oh, hey, okay, yo. But yeah, they find that Voight is still there, and then he's kind of... he's been getting her boyfriend to do this the whole time, which is a lot of setup, rather than just hire 5
with very
escorts.
little payoff, because he gets kind of like... It doesn't really go anywhere very quickly.
No,
it takes not that great
it takes
either,
a couple of years because he's been missing for years. You just hire 5 prostitutes. You do the Patrick Bateman. You say, "Look, I'll give you a couple $100 each if you both have a go on this, or if you have a go on this, and then get it sorted." But so they all kind of show up. They get back to Nora, or they get back to Voight's house after Nora.
I love when I get back to Nora
because they're on their way house.
They're on their way house.
They're on their way back to the house. Kiss, I don't even know her. That's terrible. I actually love Nella Rose so much. You're one. But they get back to the house because Nora has been killed. They're like, fuck it, we actually just gotta go back. Because they have a little scuffle in the middle of the road where they kill a Cenobite with the box, which I don't think we knew they could do, but also logistically does make sense.
Yeah, because it's just another body.
Yeah,
it's
like,
more
just
blood for it.
Just do that.
Yeah,
you know, just kill the rest of the thing because they don't really run.
My God, the one thing. Now, this is the only thing I will say in the movie for, apart from little tidbits or things, is the fact that nowadays in horror, do not tell me when you're running from someone that you trip up. I refuse to believe that trope is still around in 2022. Oh, I'm going to trip and I'm going to struggle to suddenly stand back up and run. I can't. I refuse to allow myself to, because it took me out of the movie. I was like, no.
It makes for a good shot, though.
It does, because
having your person on the floor and having the person stand over them. But again, you can do that so many more different ways.
Yeah.
Especially if you there's no point in doing that if there's no point in running from a villain like this.
The boyfriend of her brother that falls. Who I can't remember for the life of me his name. But it just took me out of the movie immediately. I was like, don't fall. You don't fall. Fuck off. And you don't just sit there. You don't sit there.
Well, he didn't, because then they realized that he wasn't actually going after him. Like, you could low-key walk past a Cenobite in this movie if you're not marked and have nothing happen to you.
Yeah, that's true.
But then,
but they didn't realize.
I like that they give Chatterer, a whole scene to himself. Because he walks up to the gate where Riley and her boyfriend is.
Boom.
And traps them in Jurassic Park 3 Raptor style.
Yeah. That reminded me of that. I couldn't help but think of it.
Because they literally, they get whatever. Or no, I think they go behind the gate and then he just,
and he pushes it inwards,
And he, bites at the boyfriend's hands and stuff. At this point, if I was him, though, I wouldn't have still been holding up the illusion. I would have been out of there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't stay at this mansion if I knew what the fucking tea was. But Chatterer is kind of going at them, which we don't often see in other movies either. You would think the mouth is right there, eat stuff, bite things. But then Riley kind of just shanks him with the box, or I think it's accidental even.
She goes for him.
But then he kind of backs up, he knew what was
going to happen.
Up.
Yeah.
It steps back, kind of straightens up, and then just gets struck with all these hooks and chains, and then just gets pulled apart.
Yeah.
I didn't think I didn't expect to see a Cenobite die in this movie, because I didn't think they could do that in that kind of traditional way. But it counts as a death because it configures itself back to another thing to get to the next stage.
This is actually something I wanted to talk about.
It was?
Yeah. So the box is yay big, right? It's
we don't talk about yay anymore.
Yeah, of course. The box is like fucking. It's yay big, right?
It's thus big.
It's thus big. And the one thing
you say yay big and we're on a podcast, they can't see that.
Whatever.
The size of
it's
box.
a lunchbox, okay? But like it just
spear.
The third, fourth, and fifth configuration are twice the size of this box. I do not understand how big it could get that size. Like, how is that even happening?
Magic. How did other dimensions
Please
open?
Please don't explain that to me like that.
How do other dimensions open?
The box was not made by the Hell Dimension. The box was made by Le Marchand.
Okay,
blah, blah,
but
blah,
how do dimensions
whatever.
Open? How do people survive with pins
fucking
through the fucking skull?
man.
Yeah, because you just go with it.
But it just sort of takes me out like, oh, it's like 3 times the size of the original box. Like, where she could hold
but of
it.
Course it is.
She holds it this big.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But it slides out. It doesn't just like become big. It slides apart and reforms. You know?
I don't know.
But that's happened in the old movies as well. They don't even show it like that. They just show it being covered in rotoscoped blue lightning and it being a different shape. You know? I don't know. I don't think
it sort of took me out of it.
I don't think
that's
about
just
stuff like that though.
That's just one of my gripes with it.
But like I don't know. I went with it just because like that's.
It's just how it is.
How they do shit.
Yeah,
you know how to. I don't know. How does fucking anything fucking happen in a movie like this? You know. I don't know. I'm always willing to suspend disbelief.
Yeah. Look, we'll move on.
We'll get to Halloween Ends.
Oh, she's got opinions,
it's just
girl.
Gonna be an hour and 40 of me screaming, of me just angrily yelling.
How could you do that, Jamie Lee?
All you're gonna hear is like it'll be POV. Your mom is angry in the kitchen. You'll just hear me in a different room smashing things. You know, just angrily yelling. I'll just complain. But, so they all get back to the mansion. This is kind of like where everything is going down. And Voight is revealed. We get to see Voight. He comes out, kind of does his whole blah, 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 blah.
But is like, Halloween an enemy of the pod?
Yes, it is. I could yell. I could yell forever. Just don't even get me started.
Triggered.
What did you call me? Triggered with a hearty or? How could you? Oh my god, wait, just side note. I listened to our Trick or Treat episode the other day and fully forgot that we just took the piss at him. And I was like, oh, because I'm pretty sure I whispered like that and you fully can still just hear me say her name.
We're gonna blurt that out.
She looked like one of the retards, the quote-unquote Down syndrome girl. But yeah, so they finally get back. This is kind of where everything is going down. They come up with a plan to be like, right, fuck it. Because we know that they can't get in here, we probably can't get out either.
Yeah.
So
they're trapped, basically.
They're trapped, and they go to like lead. They go outside to like lead them in.
Yeah.
You know,
because they come up with the plan based off of Chatterer getting murdered by, you know, the Lament configuration that like, well, we've done it once, we can do it again.
Because there's only 2 left, and I keep going to call her Nora.
Riley.
Riley has kind of a conversation with Pinhead on like,
yes,
this is how many you have left, and you can do this or that or whatever. Like,
yeah, because Pinhead basically threatens her, saying like, we've just cut you, bitch. Like, hurry up. You're marked. If you don't, we fuck you.
Yes,
yeah,
she is. So she has to like figure out where to get 2 people from, and there's kind of only 3 characters left, not including her, and 2 of them are with her. But then they get back, and you find out it's a double cross or a it's a double cross. It's not even one.
Yeah.
And that the boyfriend is there after everybody is in and locked in. So we get the Asphyx get caught in between,
which is delicious. I love the shot of like that skin flap, just like he's pulling himself through it so much that like the skin literally is pulled apart by the fat. You know,
then there's like
there's no nose, there's no eyes.
It's human-esque. Well, no, it's human, but it's like modified in a way where it's not just like a face underneath.
Yeah.
But then it's got teeth and stuff. It looks fucking crazy.
It's like, just imagine a skull with some flesh and a lot of blood on it.
It actually gave me kind of like a cross between like Mad Max, like the the guitar player in the last Mad Max movie.
Yes. Oh, where like the thing is like pulled right back like that.
And it's just because it's just skin pulled right across from it. But wait, what the fuck happens to this one?
Nothing actually, because the other guy gets stabbed by Voight to get the final Leviathan configuration, and then he wanders downstairs while Voight traps the rest of the Cenobites, including the Hell Priest.
Oh yes, and they're all in the house.
She allows the Hell Priest in by unlocking it, and she runs down the stairs after her brother's boyfriend.
Yeah. What's his fucking name?
What's his fucking name? Like,
this is like in Texas Chainsaw.
It's just slightly
the chick that gets killed in the van is just referred to as Dante's partner. She has a whole scene to herself.
Yeah.
But they have this like weirdly kind of like basic looking like quote unquote sex dungeon, and it's kind of just a big like velvet couch.
Yeah, in the middle of a hexagon room. Which, by the way, can I just say, there's a lot of the imagery of Le Marchand's box everywhere, including the boyfriend's house. In her room, she has a lot of drawings of dodecahedrons, squares, boxes, all of that kind of thing.
Clothing and stuff like that. It's all very subtle.
In the playground, the little what's the thing? The rotatory thing.
I thought that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it's shot beautifully.
By the way, yeah, I think we said it at the top, but this movie is stunning.
Yeah, the symmetry of it all.
I don't know why I love the idea of going with like blue for hell versus like
cold,
red and fire.
Dark.
It's all just stone.
Yeah,
like stone. Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah.
You know, for some reason, the idea of a cold hell seems kind of
creepier,
worse than like fire hell.
Yeah.
What's his fucking name before? Colin.
After all of that, his name is Colin. Oh my god.
And Trevor is the boyfriend.
Yeah.
So these are the last couple of people left.
Yeah, they're the survivors, shall we say, of what's happened so far.
And Colin is injured, so yeah, like he's marked. So the next couple of minutes are all about like, fuck, what do we do to like protect him? Like, how do we help him out and stuff?
And all of this time, while that is happening, Pinhead, the Hell Priest, is confronting Voight. Yeah. And Voight is saying like, just kill me, let me die, take this thing away from me. And she's like, look, listen, bro, okay. You can't.
You fucked up our contract.
You know, you're rejecting our gift. How fucking dare you?
You fucking lied to us.
And I love the fact that she says, like, once a threshold has been crossed, you cannot return. You have to search for further thresholds.
Yeah, you can only go further. Yeah.
I love that.
Because it's like he got what he thought he wanted and then became, like, low-key a Cenobite, but not really because he's still human. He's just dealing with Cenobite level injury. Mm-hmm. And then, oh my god, this was so cunt. Where he gets what he wants. He gets an audience with God.
Yeah.
That's what they call, like, when you meet Leviathan, or like when Leviathan comes down. And then we got this shot in the trailer of just Leviathan just like rotating down and getting to like the top of this, and the sky opens and it's all dark blue.
I love that shot of the blood coming out of the Lament configuration and dripping up towards the glass of the ceiling.
Like dripping on the thing.
Yeah, I love that sort of heavy plopping of hitting glass. It's so good.
But one of the coolest things I thought from this movie, the like cruise ship sized chain with thing that just comes straight down. And when I say like goes through his whole chest and stomach, like think of like
there's a big fucking hole.
Yeah, think of just like a chain, but like 20 times bigger and thicker than what you think.
Yeah,
and it just goes through him and carries him up into Leviathan, and we kind of get to see inside Leviathan in this movie. I think.
Yeah, the sort of like shiny diamond thing. Yeah.
Again, it's just like
and it also makes sense why their eyes turn to that blue color, because like that sort of like. The only way I can describe it is like, do you remember those glasses that you kept turning and they turn into different shapes and stuff like that? They merge and they,
like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah. It's basically, you can imagine a diamond kaleidoscope of just white and blue. That's like, I always imagine like that's why their eyes turn to that dark blue color. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. I don't know. It's kind of my theory on it. I don't know.
That's nice.
Stupid. Yeah.
It's not stupid. No, I just I really like this kind of reimagining of hell, or I think we've both always kind of really enjoyed
different interpretations of hell.
Yeah, Hellraiser's version of hell, where it doesn't look like everything. It's almost like Roman or something like that. You know,
yeah,
it's
I can see
stone
that.
pillars and columns and stuff.
Yeah,
so
kind of Greco-Roman idea.
Yeah, it's still. I think we even get that kind of in the end of Freddy's Dead, or not Freddy's Dead, in the end of New Nightmare.
Yeah,
where it's kind of Colosseum like. It's I don't know. We have to get to that movie at one point. It's one of my favorite nightmare movies. But yeah, so Voight is kind of taken out of the picture for now, and then the rest of the movie is kind of
what happens to the survivors.
Yeah. So they offer Riley because she stabs the boyfriend because he's been the double crosser this whole time, and he just kind of gets pulled into pulled into this well, very Henry Bowers kind of at the end of it, but he just gets pulled into this well and is just kind of gone.
Yeah. But the one thing I will say is the sort of shot where,
Can I open one of these?
of course you can, he just sort of like the way his hand gets twisted back and the metal of the wires themselves literally like pull and rip his skin backwards, and it's tightening so much that it's only serving further to pull him backwards.
Oh, like he's mangled. Like it's not like he's not supposed to fit like that.
It's one of those comeuppance things. Look, you were an asshole, now you're gonna die and you're gonna suffer for it.
Yeah, you earned those.
Yeah.
So
you earned those. Get that coin.
You know what I mean? It is weird. There is like kind of a weird like justice to the Hellraiser series because like again like
you know, that's it.
But again, because like the Cenobites don't really do anything until you do anything to you unless you really kind of ask for it. Like actually, even with Kirsty, they're kind of like, okay, like you didn't open the box, but also like it's like they have a quota to meet where it's like we kind of like
look, bitch, I've got a schedule. I've got 10 more people to go.
I need 5 souls to get out of here.
Like, they can't go back until they take them with it.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah,
you do kind of get that sense though. It's like they have jobs in hell.
Well, they are the emissaries of the Leviathan.
Yeah,
and like I mean, the Hell Priest is exactly that. He's a priest that must serve and worship Leviathan. He must follow the rules.
That's why he's able to make deals with Kirsty so many times because she's like, "Look, I know I opened the box again, but like." I'll get you your souls.
Pinhead audibly rolls his eyes. We're like, yes, bitch, we know. Oh, you Kirsty. Accidentally flips the nails back with his head. He's like, really? Yeah. And the others are arriving. Even Chatter's just like stopped chattering. He's like, and you're one. The female Cenobite was like, Let me just flick back these 4 hairs I have on my head. I guess.
Smoke, whatever. But so the movie low-key kind of wraps up here, which leaves,
very quickly, I will say.
And again, I don't mind because again, I feel like this is just the first chapter in something bigger. Riley and your man, Colin, they kind of just leave, which again I'm not unsatisfied by because what the kind of gore I had been hoping for is given to us at the very end of this movie, right with credits. Voight becomes a Cenobite, like officially, but
after Kirsty denies the Hell Priest.
Oh yes, because she finally gets
no,
up
I
to
don't
the point
want
of it. She's killed all the
from
people.
You.
Oh, but we get to see her brother. When her brother is, she gets to hook her brother, and she feels a little like
which is why I think like if she had a chosen, because that's what Voight warned her about. Is like their gifts are not what you think they are.
You gotta pay for them.
You gotta pay for them, and like even when you get that gift, it's still not what you're gonna think it is.
Yeah,
and like that's why I think after seeing that scene where she like hugs him and like sees the back of his muscles and all of that, I think it would be a very Frank Cotton type of idea.
Back. It looks so cool.
It reminded me of, do you remember that from 13 Ghosts?
Exactly, yeah, that's what I was
like
thinking.
That guy cut in half, or not half, like down
split
center.
Right in the middle. It's split right in the middle, but like, I don't even know how to describe it. Not like down the middle of the nose, as in like between
behind the ears. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
That's what it reminded me of.
But with Voight, we get to see he gets like.
This is like seeing, because like
almost crucified because he's on a weird cross.
In Hellraiser 2 we got the engineer's box, which is how people become Cenobites, and Dr. Chenard gets turned in.
Creepy little coffin thing with the
but we don't get to see his
like that
full transformation, the process. And then obviously he turns out to be a guy with a dildo attached to his head. But with this, we get to see Roland Voigt become the crucifixion.
Oh, it's so good. So we just get to see, like, from the... Because he's naked, we get to see pee-pee. Well, if we're talking about why his penis is a big deal.
Yeah.
Why
are titties a big deal? BCFE?
Exactly. If I could
fucking College of Further Arts and Education. Why are titties such a big deal? Fuck you.
It's like, do breasts with...
Yeah, you know who you are.
Do breasts with the areola cut off count any less? Versus covering them up. Gross. But from, like, his toes, we get to see him just get, like... Because it's so perfectly done as well. The flesh just kind of comes off like a bandage. It comes off so easily and so cleanly. And it comes all the way up over the chest. And then, like, with the mouth is, like, skin from the lip out.
Like, you ever do that when you were a kid and you got your fingers in the sides of your mouth and you pulled? Just imagine that, but, like, slicing all the way back to the ears.
And then neatly peeling off the corner pieces.
I loved it.
And then the eyes go black and then it's revealed out. Like, he's on this, like, big kind of metal board thing. And then it folds out and he's been, like, crucified. Yeah. It's kind of the Jesus wept moment.
It was amazing.
It
was
George W. Bush.
It really was, though. Yeah. Like, emphasis on the gore, because we got to the end of it and Kev was like, see, this is what I wanted to see. And I think they'll give us more of this the next movie. I think they just kind of have to, like, slowly introduce you to the concept.
Like, this is why, like, if because I remember when
that'll be the third post of the week is the trailer made.
Yeah, like, when I seen the trailer, I was confused as to whether this was going to be a series or a film, and I was like, if we do a series exploring the Hell dimension and creating what we know to be like Leviathan's Labyrinth, and, like, you remember that Hellhound, the engineer,
that thing from the first movie with the face on the bottom, and
like, imagining all of that and seeing that in either anthology episodes or just like a start to finish 10 episode arc of something.
Well, up until
totally down
last
for it,
year, when this was coming out, I thought it was a series as well. I mean, because it's on Hulu.
Yeah. If you're listening, Hulu, please make more of this.
No, they are.
We were happy.
They definitely are. We're at least confirmed getting a series. But we'll see. For even the Books of Blood, I thought that was going to be a series too. Yeah, but it's not.
It's a film. Yeah, I think...
Which is also Barker.
Like, out of 10, as a review, I give this a solid 8.
I'll give it a solid 8.
Solid 8. 8.5. Yeah, solid 8.5, for sure.
If this was the first one, if we had never had Hellraiser before...
Oh, I'd be obsessed. I would be obsessed with it. I think it's fantastic. It's fantastically strong, and I think it should be strong. Because the imagery is half the battle when it comes to horror movies, and I think it's very important that you do something like this.
Well, it's what set aside Hellraiser from a lot of the other shit back in the day. Was like, it was so visually strong. Yeah. Like, if you notice, there's a distinct difference of how the boiler room looks in Nightmare on Elm Street pre and post Hellraiser coming out. The color changes, there's more chains and stuff everywhere, it's more kind of hooks, it's more vaguely hellish, versus it originally it's just an actual boiler room. Hold on, I want to actually see about Books of Blood. Yeah, Books of Blood is just a movie, but when that was coming out, I also thought that was going to be a series. Yeah, because I think you think anthology, naturally you go with episode per episode versus trying to shove them all in one. Yeah. But god damn it, Hulu, you've done me right this year.
Yeah, you did us proud.
Because, like, with Prey as well, I was very, very, very happy with Prey. Another franchise that kind of had become very formulaic and very boring. Dare I say I like Prey more than I liked the original Predator movie. I like the original Predator movie.
Oh, that's a daring assumption to make.
I know, but it's just because that first Predator movie sets
You are treading on thin ice there, bro.
But I don't think... but Predator, to me, isn't, like, prestige. I've always been way more of an Alien fan. Predator is just kind of... Predator's like the dude, Like, he's not super,
it's a macho
super interesting looking. And we've never gotten any backstory. We've only ever seen Yaocha Prime one time. We're supposed to be talking about Hellraiser.
Yeah. So it was a great movie. Yeah. Well done.
We'll get to Prey in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was very happy with this. Well done, Hulu.
Yeah. Props to you, Mama. You did the damn thing.
Welcome our new Disney princess, Pinhead.
Yes. Hell Priest, you know, join the club.
I wanted the toy.
You are up there with Ariel and Cinderella, man. Telling you.
I look, you can't wait for the new Little Mermaid. God, I hate you.
You fucking cunt.
Sticking with that tone, next week, dude, we're talking about Halloween Ends.
I am deeply and utterly offended.
I'm pissed, and I'm very glad I watched this online and didn't go and support this movie properly, as in being out in the cinema, being one of those numbers. Just because, like,
we're not. What are we watching? What are we reviewing? I Was a Teenage Serial Killer.
I said it already.
I Was a Teenage Serial Killer.
I said it already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, very disappointing. And like, to hear you, I hadn't seen it at the time, but when you rang me, we were chatting about it, I was like, really?
Finished the movie.
And
it
you
was
said, dare I
2:13
say,
a.m.
angry.
I tried to call Nathan. He wasn't awake, and then he wasn't going to be awake to watch it, so I tried to call my other friends who I thought might have seen it or might have whatever, or might have not have cared. I just ranted. I was just...
Mama, this is garbage.
Spoiler alert, I fucking hated the movie.
Yeah.
But I'll enjoy talking about it, because bad movies make for good episodes. So I will sue the bitch. Honestly, I'm glad I didn't give them my money.
Yeah, it's a struggle. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Jamie Lee struggle. I just was not happy.
Yeah. So yeah, next week Halloween
fuck
Ends.
Fuck that movie.
And so you've been listening to They're Here podcast. Yeah.
Anyway,
how do we
bye.
finish this? We just do that, right?
Au revoir.
Au revoir.